Well, guys, October 17th, we got high tech against high octane. I'm talking about Vasyl Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. Boxing match of the year is coming up. We're talking about it now. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, we don't normally talk about boxing, but like we said, MMA is our sport. That's what we cover. But when a big boxing match comes up, especially with a fighter that we know a little bit about and we enjoy watching, we cover that. We have that in what I think is the best boxing match that's been made post-pandemic.
Yeah.
We have Teofimo Lopez, the young lion, versus the high-tech, the double gold medalist, one of arguably the best amateur boxing in the history of amateur boxing, Vasyl Lomachenko.
Yeah.
This is a good matchup. This is fun.
It's a very fun fight, and like you said, it's probably the best matchup of the year that's actually coming to fruition. There's always 10 fights in boxing that are supposed to happen. They never end up happening. You get a couple of journeymen wind up in those positions that you wish that the top contenders would be in. This kind of feels like a Dana White promoted type of fight.
He made the fight the people wanted to see.
He made make the fight that people want to see. Usually it's dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge in boxing. That's what they do. They
Dodgeball reference there, guys. Very clever.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is boxing is known for just padding records and holding that secure as long as you possibly can, even if that means pulling somebody out of the stands practically to fight your guy. And this just, one thing I love about Lomachenko, and this is why him and Tyson Fury are my two favorite fighters, and not just of this time, but of all time right now in boxing. They're willing to fight the best, and they want to fight the best, and they're actively pursuing the best fighters. And, Lomachenko isn't total in control of his career, but it shows he does have some control because he's fighting Teofimo Lopez, who is without a doubt one of the most dangerous guys in his division. And if you go look at the pretty much all of Lomachenko's professional fights, they've been against top competitors. So that's what I'm super happy about.
Yeah, and Lomachenko really is that breath of fresh air in the boxing world. I don't know if it's because he just comes from that amateur pedigree where it's literally next man up, and I think he's got 400 fights and like 390-something wins.
396 and one. That was his. And he avenged that one loss.
So he's got 397 amateur fights, which is literally that you go to a tournament and you don't even know who's showing up, let alone who you're fighting until like the day of. That could play a factor, or just the fact that he got the loss out of his way very early in his career. He fought for a title. I think it was his second fight.
Orlando Salido, and that was also very controversial.
I think he won, but either way, he lost the fight on paper.
Right.
And the judges called it a loss for him that night, and so be it. But Lomachenko really said that I don't care about losing.
Right.
I care about being known as a boxer who fought everybody that was put in front of me, who was never afraid, who called people out in there, even as the champion. We don't see boxing champs do many call-outs, and if they do, it's among the most disappointing and ridiculous call-outs that you can imagine.
Right.
They're like, hey, what's that guy in row 13F?
Yeah.
He looks like he weighs about my weight. Let's get him in here. It's literally that bad. But Lomachenko is calling out the best guys, and Teofimo Lopez is a guy that most professional champions that have a name, that are making seven figures a fight, that have a worldwide brand would avoid like the plague.
Without a
because
doubt.
they don't need him, because they're making their money. They have the brand deals. They've got everything they need. And the only thing that could set them back is losing their belts. And Teofimo Lopez represents that threat. He's young. He's explosive. He's strong. He talks. His father talks, even more so than him. But he's very dangerous. Make no bones about it. His father's a bit of a clown, and like we've seen him in some interviews. But Teofimo Lopez, he walks the walk, not just talks the talk.
He's the real deal. His dad, the thing about boxing is obviously it's been around much longer than MMA, but the MMA community and the MMA fighters, people in the industry understand the showmanship more so than the boxers, especially of today. Now, you've got your Muhammad Ali's and your Mike Tysons. The guys who do get it, the Tyson Furies, they take that and they catapult into superstardom through boxing, which is huge, and it really serves them well. So many people in boxing don't get that boxing is a sport and sports are entertainment, and the only way you're going to become a big star and do the big money fights and all of that is by selling yourself as a marketable fighter. And that's the one thing Teofimo Lopez is really doing well. He's got a strong social media presence. He does make a call out when he exits any boxing ring, and he's like Lomachenko looking to fight the best guys because he goes, look, I've got the skills. I just don't get any of the shine that all these big name fighters are getting, and I'm pretty sure I could kick all their asses, or I could really,
do some stuff
do some stuff in these divisions. But it's one of those things where it's not him and it's not his team's fault. It's the way boxing is laid out. The promoters get in the way. The other fighters say they're tough guys. On the interview, they'll say they'll fight anybody, and then when they get the contract, they're not so quick to sign.
Right. Well, and that's, again, Teofimo was the prospect of the year in 2018, and he's been calling for this fight since 2018. So even when you do get the fight in boxing that you want, it happens, 2 years after it's initially gets talked about. So, I'm sure they had to pressure Bob Arum into doing this because, hey, look, you got two guys. Both of them are your moneymakers right now.
Right.
You got Tyson Fury, obviously. But, you have Teofimo Lopez and you have Vasyl Lomachenko. You could play that a couple of ways if you're Arum. You could because Lomachenko's in his early 30s, Teofimo's in his early 20s. So they're a decade apart. You could let Lomachenko kind of coast into his, mid-30s and wrap up all the belts, win a bunch of records, become a household name even more so than he is now, and then let your guy Teofimo, a 26 or a 27 or a 28-year-old even Teofimo, take out the former, the GOAT of 135 or whatever you want to call him. But no, they're doing it now. They said both of these guys are in their prime now. Both of these guys are ready to roll. Most importantly, they want to fight each other, and we're making it happen. And so I'm super excited. My question now specifically about the fight is, does Teofimo, we know he's got the power.
Yeah.
But is that going to be enough to crack the code of the matrix that is Vasyl Lomachenko?
Shortly, yes, he has the power. We've all seen it. He's had some pretty ridiculous knockouts in his day. But everybody that has fought Lomachenko has had crazy power. One of our good friends, Nicholas the Axeman Walters, was 26-0 when he went to go fight Lomachenko.
With, I think, 22 or 21
knockouts.
Yeah, 22 knockouts.
At 130 pounds, that is virtually unheard of.
And that's coming from 126. He started at 126 to 130 and now then to 135.
And so when you see these guys and they go, oh, well, I got this crazy knockout power. Yeah, you don't think Orlando Salido's got crazy knockout power. You don't think Jorge Linares has crazy knockout power. You don't think Nicholas Walters has it. All these guys have it. Luke Campbell, they've all got it. Lomachenko has seen a power puncher. He's even been sat down by Jorge Linares and got popped right back up. He knows how to deal with adversity mid-fight. He knows how to systematically break down a fighter as the fight's going on, and he can avoid punches the second time they come around. And if it takes one and he gets hit by it, there might be a little trouble, but usually it takes more than one because he's so good with his motions, and you usually don't get a second chance to land that.
You don't get
shot.
That second look again,
right?
And absolutely. And all we have to go off of is that he's hit the ground one time,
right?
And his butt hit the ground. His back didn't hit the ground,
right?
He got knocked down by Jorge Linares, and
fight.
Boom, yeah, exactly, pops right up, and he's ready to roll. And then he obviously got that body shot that ended the fight in the later rounds. And we talk about Nicholas the Axeman Walters. For any of you guys out there that are not familiar with Nicholas the Axeman Walters, just go to YouTube and type in Nicholas Walters highlights. And it's you want to talk about some crazy power, you'll see some crazy power.
Like we said, 26 wins, 0 losses, and 22 of those were knockouts, and against a lot of great guys. He's a former world champion, only losing to Vasyl Lomachenko
in his whole career,
which everybody loses to him. His father's actually my coach, and he was his coach growing up all the way until
literally
today.
now, yeah. And I say that to say this, that, if somebody, because Nicholas, and I hate, as much as I hate to say, because I was cheering for him because he's a friend of ours, he did nothing in that fight.
Yeah.
He literally, in the first couple of rounds, landed a few shots. Lomachenko figured him out and just dismantled him. And, it was the was a corner stoppage in between rounds, I think in between 7 and 8.
Yeah, 7, 8, or 8, 9.
Yeah, 8, 9. I can't, one of those two. But it was a late corner stoppage by his father, Job.
Yeah.
And so when you see that, it really makes you wonder how Teofimo doesn't hit any harder than Axeman.
Right.
I've seen Axeman in person hit pads and hit bags. Like if he can't put you down, I don't see how anybody at 135 can put you down. But Teofimo might be the guy, and I've never seen him in person. I look at him on TV, and for that division and in there with some of the guys he's up against, he looks pretty big, he looks pretty strong, he looks pretty fit. But I think it takes more than power to beat Lomachenko. And I think that he's going to have Teofimo. We know he's got the power. Yeah. We know he's got the speed. He's going to have to show us some boxing IQ to win this fight, I think.
Yeah, I think he's going to take a couple of things into the ring with him that will serve him well, and that's confidence and momentum. And I know this year has kind of halted everybody's momentum, but when it's an even playing field. When everybody gets stopped, then nobody moves forward at the same. It's not like you're getting left behind. Everybody was kind of halted because
it's progressing at the same snail's pace.
Exactly. So is Teofimo Lopez, even though he hasn't been as active as he was before, still believes that he's the baddest dude walking the streets, and that's exactly what you need if you think you're going to step into a squared circle with high-tech Lomachenko. And win by knockout fashion. So I think this is a fantastic fight for boxing. If you're an MMA fan, I know a lot of you MMA people out there love the show, and we're more so into MMA than...
But watch this fight, guys.
Watch this fight. It's going to be a very, very fun fight. And trust me, even if you don't know as much about boxing as you do MMA, you can see the difference in skills between Lomachenko and pretty much everybody else. And Teofimo Lopez is right there with him, but you're going to see a difference. And I think, Lomachenko has a million ways to beat Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez has one really devastating way to beat Lomachenko, and if it doesn't happen, you're going to see literally a masterclass in boxing. You're going to see the highest level boxer that the world may have ever seen performing when they
I could
fight.
agree with that. I mean, I think he's still got... probably was he 32, 31?
Yeah, he's pretty relatively young.
I see him as one of those guys that's going to be able to fight till he's 40. He takes extremely good care of himself. His dad is just super anal about everything about his schedule. His dad, Anatoly Lomachenko, is obviously one of the most brilliant. He's like the John Danaher of boxing.
Right, and when you watch go talk about highlights. You go watch. You don't even have to go type in Vasyl Lomachenko highlights. Just type in Vasyl Lomachenko full fights. You'll watch him not get hit.
Yeah,
and he'll go 5, 6, 7 rounds before he finishes the person. And by round 2, the person has completely stopped landing any punches. And by round 5, they're pretty much not throwing punches. And then at that point, he's kind of just playing with them. He is quite a showman. He's once he has you done and he knows that there's no coming back from that, he kind of starts to put on a show for the people, which is
the little matador.
The bull in the matador. Okay, highlight. Check this out, people. Lomachenko versus Jason Souza highlights. You're going to see. I mean, it was a masterclass to the highest of levels.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. Teofimo's got one devastating way to win this fight, but if Teofimo's got that punch that he thinks can take Loma out, he better use it when he sees the opportunity perfectly.
Right.
Because if he uses it and ends up being an 80% punch or gets partially blocked or whatever, Loma's going to say, "Oh, that's what he wants." And he's going to completely shut that look down for the rest of the fight. For you MMA guys out there that watch us, TJ Dillashaw does a lot of sparring with Lomachenko, and he said that you guys know how good TJ Dillashaw is, that Lomachenko's hand speed and his craftsmanship and his trickery inside of that ring is just unprecedented.
Yeah.
Unprecedented.
Yeah, he said our headgear could be touching and he's out of range for me to punch him.
Yeah.
But, Lomachenko is literally on you like a fly and you're not able to hit him. It's not like he's one of those guys that runs. He is a very offensive fighter. He moves forward constantly.
He's everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Yeah, and one of the rules that I learned in boxing, and I carried it with me, and I learned it largely because of Lomachenko, is he only engages on his terms.
Yep.
He's not gonna go get in a Mexican boxing style fight where it's you land some, I'll land some, kind of like the Muay Thai.
And we see who drops first.
And we see who drops, and then everybody's getting brain damage all around. If he's not implementing his offense and his game plan, then he's resetting and waiting for you to walk into what he wants, and then he's going to start his offense. He never just is caught slipping and caught just like hanging out in the fight.
And that's one of the reasons I said that I think largely he could fight till he's 40 or even beyond, is because, one, he doesn't rely on power and speed. He relies on technique.
Right.
And he doesn't engage in slugfests.
Yeah.
So he really is super fresh. Like he has a very small professional career. Almost all of his fights were
15-0
amateur.
14-1 and a 15 fight record. Yeah. And I see this fight going the distance. I think it's going to be a lopsided unanimous decision, probably 8 or 9 rounds to 3 or 4. For Lomachenko winning a unanimous decision.
See, I don't think Lopez has got the gas.
No.
I think you're going to see an onslaught by Lopez early. I think you're going to see maybe Lopez even win the first 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Because Lomachenko is going to be perfectly fine with that. He's going to say, I want to see what this young kid has for me. I want to see what he's been working on. Mm-hmm. I want to see what they've found in my game that they think they can exploit. And then I think you're going to see a systematic picking apart, and I think you're going to see an 8th or 9th round TKO stoppage by Lomachenko to a very frustrated and deflated Teofimo Lopez.
That's a great prediction. That's if it's a finish, I think you're exactly right. That's how it happens. I feel like Teofimo is one of those guys that is just so headstrong and has so much belief in him that even if he has to crawl through the finish line, he's going to try to get there. Obviously, he doesn't play the full role in that. Lomachenko does have some say in that, but I think that's a great prediction on your part. I'm doing mine because I like to be right on my predictions, and I have
pretty good record.
I have faith that the decision is a safe. It's more of a safe bet than yours.
Than a finish. Yeah, I would agree with that. But we also know that Lopez's father, he's kind of out there, and I think if he sees his son getting worked in there and getting embarrassed and losing stock, that he's going to pull the plug.
I think that's a good call. And he if he's smart enough, which I hope he is, Nicholas Walters' father, always says, live to fight another day. And when you know your fighter has 0 chance and 0 ways to win the fight, finish the fight because their health is on the line.
Yep, like Clayton Hires says, Chael Sonnen's coach. When Chael was asking him when does a corner pull the plug
or throw in the towel,
and Clayton said they throw in the towel when your side has no further chance of winning. And I know Nicholas got grilled for that.
Yeah,
but maybe
Joe
Joe
Walters
did the right
still to this
thing.
day. I talked to him a couple months ago. He said the same. He said the exact same thing. I wouldn't change anything from that decision. I knew my son, who I care about as a son more so than a boxer, was finished,
done.
defeated mentally, and I didn't want to put his health on the line. If you go watch Vasyl Lomachenko's highlight videos, there's very few clips of him beating up Nicholas Walters because he never dropped him. He never landed any insane barrages of punches on him like he has almost every one of his other opponents. And a lot of those come when the fighters are mentally defeated and just completely done and checked out mentally. And then Lomachenko puts a clinic on him.
Yeah. And what are the odds? So it's Lomachenko minus 300. I think I've seen it as high as minus 480. Teofimo's about a plus 2 something. This might be one where you could win. Normally you never win any money on Loma because Loma's like he's like a minus 2,000, meaning you have to bet $2,000 to win $100.
Right.
If you're riding high on Loma, which I kind of am, this would be the best odds to take Loma because you actually can win some semblance of money betting on him. Whereas like all his other fights, it's just like a Floyd fight. It doesn't make sense to wager $1,000 to win 50.
Right, but they're at the same point, there's some people that clearly think Teofimo can get it done, and I bet you there's going to be some Vegas gamblers that put a little bit of cash on Teofimo because he does have that power.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you got a guy that's an underdog that can pay you 3-1. that's got crazy knockout power, it's very tempting to put a few bucks on him.
Yeah, man, it's a numbers game, and those gamblers know all about the numbers.
That's right. Guys, thanks for watching. I know we don't normally talk about boxing, but we felt like this fight deserved a video from the Barnhill brothers. And for you boxing fans out there, if you're watching this video, if you came across us, please check out our MMA stuff.
Yeah.
I think the world is better when boxing fans are MMA fans and MMA fans are boxing fans. And I'll say it on the Barnhill Brothers channel. I feel like there's not enough. I feel like there's too much rivalry between the two. It's like if you're a boxing fan, you can't like MMA because it's not pure boxing. And if you're an MMA fan, you don't like boxing because it's not a full fight. They're two different sports. There's a lot of crossover. And I'm a fan of both.
Yeah, big fan of both. I think there's great athletes in both. And we will be talking about all the bigger boxing matches that come up. MMA is kind of our thing, and we love it. But there's also so much fun to be watched in boxing. And if you're MMA, go check it out. If you're a boxing fan, come watch some MMA. This is
we won't bite you.
Yeah, true unarmed combat at the highest of levels.
Guys, thanks so much for watching. And please check us out where you listen to podcasts. Like, comment, and subscribe, and check the Barnhill Brothers out in the next video.
Awesome. Peace.
Have a great one.